This summer, fans are expected to see the return of the most influential fighter in UFC history. Conor McGregor will return to the octagon after almost a year out due to an injury, and will face off against one of the toughest fighters in the UFC, Michael Chandler. Conor McGregor's loyal following may see the former champ return to the UFC in late summer or early autumn. McGregor will face off against Chandler at the end of their coaching roles on this year's The Ultimate Fighter. This will be Conor McGregor's first fight since July of 2022, and only his sixth fight since 2016, when he took the lightweight belt from Eddie Alvarez. Conor McGregor returned to the UFC back in January 2020, following a 2-year break after his loss to Khabib Nurmagomedov. He easily broke down and finished a Donald Cerrone who was past his prime. A year later, he would succumb to Dustin Poirier in a rematch that was 6 years in the making, with the loss that made it one apiece between McGregor and Poirier. Thus, in the summer of 2021, the trilogy was set to go down at UFC 264. The fight had all the ingredients to become one of the highest-selling pay-per-views in UFC history, and that it did, coming in at number 4 with an estimated 1.5 million buys. The fight started like any great McGregor fight, and both he and Poirier had some great offensive moments. However, the fight would end in the first round, as McGregor broke his leg with just seconds to spare in the first round. Poirier was quick to suggest that the injury happened when he checked a low kick from McGregor, whereas McGregor denied these claims and believes it was a mistake on his behalf. Following this gruesome injury to his lower tibia, McGregor would be sidelined for almost a year. The fracture of his shin bone initially forced McGregor into retirement, in the eyes of USADA, as he was pulled out of the testing pool. 9 months later, in April of 2022, following an intense recovery and rehab program, McGregor was given the go-ahead to spar, and since then he has been looking sharper by the week. When questioned about the night he broke his leg, McGregor had this to say.
At the time I thought, maybe I won't be able to do this again. For sure that was in my thoughts. Was I thinking of not making the walk or maybe the roll if I was in a fucking chair? Never. I was actually, where there's a will, there's a way, Ariel. If you're willing, you're able.
Following McGregor's announcement that he could potentially return in the latter part of the summer back in April of 2022, he was called out by just about everyone on the lightweight roster. Fans were quick to suggest that a fight with then lightweight champion Charles Oliveira, who had made it clear on several occasions that he was open to a fight with McGregor. However, following his defeat by Islam Makhachev at UFC 280, Charles decided to take an extended break. McGregor never returned to the octagon that summer, and fans couldn't help but question if they would see the Irishman return before the close of 2022. During the latter part of the year, another top contender who made it frequently clear that he was open to a fight with McGregor was Michael Chandler. This rumor was one fans instantly jumped on board with, due to the fighting style of Chandler, who many agreed was a great matchup for the returning McGregor. Nothing official was made of this rumor, and fans began to lose hope. However, when a rumor of McGregor returning to coach on The Ultimate Fighter began circulating online, fans immediately wondered if Chandler would be the man in the opposite corner. Eventually, an announcement was made by Dana White that revealed Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler would be the coaches on the 2023 edition of The Ultimate Fighter. Here is Dana White's official announcement.
Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler will go head-to-head as the coaches of The Ultimate Fighter, Team McGregor versus Team Chandler. This season premieres Tuesday, May 30th and runs through Tuesday, August 15th on ESPN The Network and ESPN Plus. Then, at the end of the season, McGregor and Chandler will fight live on ESPN Plus pay-per-view, and I do not have a date or a location for that, but we will announce it soon.
Many were quick to suggest Chandler wanted the McGregor fight for a large payday. However, Chandler suggests that there were other motives behind his desire to fight McGregor. This is what Chandler had to say about the comments. "This is the fight that I want. It's a fight that he wants. It's a fight that I think the world wants. So any venue, any weight class, whenever." Obviously, people could talk about the red panty night, and they talk about he'll do whatever, he's thirsty. It's like, no, I want battlegrounds of epic proportions. The lights don't get any brighter, and the stage does not get any bigger than fighting Conor McGregor. As both coaches began to settle into their roles back in mid-February, Rumours from the set of The Ultimate Fighter suggested that during the first few weeks of filming, both McGregor and Chandler shared a mutual respect for one another. However, fans were sure that things would eventually get heated as the pressure of their coaching roles began to get to them. A few weeks later, the inevitable seemed to happen, and McGregor and Chandler ended up in a heated argument, according to sources on set. Chandler would later go on to say he has already begun to dislike McGregor.
We're doing The Ultimate Fighter, 12 episodes over the entire summer to build the intrigue, to build the animosity, to build this rivalry, and it's genuine. You guys know me, I'm a pretty nice, even-keeled guy. I don't really like Conor McGregor that much, it turns out. So, got a ton of respect for him, but he and I don't think see eye to eye in a lot of ways. And that's a lot of competitive chirp. But ultimately, yeah, I passed Allegiant Stadium today and I told my wife, I said, hey, we should fight there. There's no reason we should be fighting in T-Mobile Arena.
Michael Chandler has already expressed he's feeling confident ahead of his super fight with McGregor, even though we're still several months away from the fight. Chandler is sure he'll finish McGregor in one of the early rounds and won't hesitate to put the same pressure on McGregor that we saw in his previous fights. Chandler said, I think I've seen enough of Conor over the last couple of weeks to know that I'm not just going to slice through, but bludgeon him with both of these hands and do whatever I want, both standing or on the ground, and finishing by the second round. That's my Mystic Mac prediction and I stand by it. Chandler also gave his opinion on when he believes the fight will go down. He had this to say during a recent interview. McGregor also feels confident ahead of his return to the octagon. During an interview with Ariel Helwani, McGregor said he will be too slick for Michael Chandler when the pair face off later this year. Here's what McGregor had to say about the fight during a recent interview.
For Chandler, I'm just too slick for him. I'm too skilled for him. And he's not fought someone like me. I fought someone like him though.
You're talking about Chad Mendes?
Just in general, it's the mixed martial arts style, right? That kind of
the short wrestler.
The short wrestler, it's just kind of MMA, isn't it?
Yeah.
Throughout the years, so it's not like it ain't nothing peculiar or unsure of. You know, I fought against that stuff many years, and you know, Michael obviously he was with a smaller promotion, and then he worked his way up. He's had some excellent fights, and he's earned his right to be in this position, but. It'll be my job now on Fight Night to show the levels and show there's a much higher difference in skill level here, and that's it. So I'm excited to get going.
On the issues that arose with Chandler on the set of The Ultimate Fighter, McGregor seemed to have a much more passive opinion. He said,
well, you know, we had an issue, right? Obviously tempers are flaring.
Yep.
It's a hostile thing, right?
Yeah. There's
nothing, respect and admiration, you know, I like his style, he likes my style, we have a good little buzz, there's no, that's the way it should be. There's still competitive fire, I'm still gonna mince him, I know he's gonna try and throw everything into his shots also, but there's still admiration, that's how it should be. That's how the sport should be, you should have the ability to separate it.
One fairly controversial factor surrounding McGregor's comeback is his alleged use of PEDs during his rehab. Conor hasn't been drug tested since he left the United States anti-doping testing pool to focus on recovering from the nasty leg injury he suffered at UFC 264 in July 2021. As Conor began to post new training footage several months later, fans from all around the world were all thinking the same thing. Conor's muscle mass seemed to have doubled. Various members of the MMA community have suggested that Conor has definitely been using PEDs during his recovery. One accusation that warranted a response from McGregor was none other than Joe Rogan. He said, "He's taking his shirt off and posing constantly, and he looks like his piss would melt that USDA cup. Like it would just burn a hole right through the bottom of that USDA cup." The weird thing is that there is a loophole in the USDA that allows you to get out of the testing pool. You can get out of the testing pool and just juice up. McGregor was quick to reply to these comments, blasting Joe Rogan on Twitter by saying the following: "Joe looks like his piss melts his knickers." McGregor wrote, "In the company that long and never took a fight. Haha. Oh, taekwondo competition. Call the cops." Various other fighters have commented on McGregor's supposed use of PEDs, including Justin Gaethje. When questioned about a potential fight with McGregor, Gaethje says he is not interested in a fight with McGregor and went on to say, "It sounds to me like he's taking steroids right now. He hasn't been drug tested by USADA in quite some time. I'm looking for fair competition. While there's no concrete proof of McGregor's alleged PED use, the MMA community remains divided on the topic. It's unlikely we will ever get an affirmative answer, as by the time McGregor does rejoin the USADA pool, it's likely that he was using PEDs during his recovery. All traces would be long gone. Considering this is likely to be one of the largest pay-per-views of the year and possibly even UFC history, it's no surprise that many MMA personalities have given their opinion on how they see the fight going. Dustin Poirier is a fighter who has shared the octagon with both fighters. When questioned about the outcome of the fight between McGregor and Chandler, he had this to say: "I would favour Conor. I think Chandler's very hittable. Conor's timing, we'll see. The layoffs may be a big factor for Conor. But yeah, I would pick Conor, still in this one. Chandler's hittable, Conor's longer than him. Chandler slows you down, If he does wrestle heavily to avoid the striking with Conor, he's gonna slow down a little bit. I would put my money on Conor." Aljamain Sterling also gave his take on the fight. Aljo believes Chandler could potentially take home the victory. During an interview, he had this to say:
Conor, for me, is still one of the most technical fighters there is out there in the world. I do think he's a little bit more superior when it comes to the striking department than Chandler, but Chandler hits like a freaking tank. Chandler's got the wrestling. He displayed that against Dustin Poirier for the first time that I think we've seen in his entire UFC career. If he goes out there and fights smart and stays focused for 25 minutes, because obviously that's going to be a main event fight, good things could happen for him.
Top-ranked lightweight contender Beneil Dariush also gave his take on the fight. Dariush gives McGregor the edge over Chandler. He said, "Chandler is the easiest fight for Conor McGregor to win. I'm not saying he can't win against the other guys, but out of everybody, Chandler is the easiest fight. Mike doesn't use his skill set properly. Energy management, 0 with Chandler. Striking defense, 0 with Chandler. Right now, he just wants to be excited and just go out there and go until you die, which is what he does." So, while there is still no official date for McGregor versus Chandler, fans can be assured knowing that the fight will likely go down before the end of the year. It's also highly likely that the fight will go down at 170. So, who do you have when these two stars face off inside the UFC's octagon? Will McGregor get a trademark finish, or will Chandler prove to be too much for Conor to handle? And if Conor wins, do you think there's a chance that he will fight for the welterweight title next year? Give us your opinions in the comments section.